Greetings, Richard Fulmer here. Welcome to another Richard's Rock Rambles. So here we are approaching winter, hoping for rain soon. We're supposed to get rain this time of the year. Seems to be a little late. So enough about the weather. Let's check out some music. So we're going to carry on with the stoner thing, and this week we're looking at a band from the States. So we're going all the way from Sweden last week to the States, a band by the name of Trouble. These guys are more in the sort of doomy metal sound as opposed to Spiritual Beggars, which had a bit more of a classic rock sound to their stoner genre. They don't have keyboards in Trouble, or not many, I don't think, have featured on their albums. What they do have is a twin guitar attack, which just gives them a bit more heft in the sound. So it's a lot more doomier than Spiritual Beggars. Great band. I'm not sure if they're still together. Their last album came out in 2013. There have been a few lineup changes over the years. So hopefully they're still together and they'll release something in the not too distant future. So the original lineup, they were formed in Illinois in 1979, so they go back quite a way. Mixture of doom and psychedelic rock is also in their sound. You can hear that as well, influences from the early 70s. The original lineup was a guy by the name of Eric Wagner, or Wagner on vocals. I think it's Wagner. He's got a really high range and a low range, so he had quite a variety to his vocal style. Not the best frontman in the world, though. I have seen the DVD that came out in 2006, and he's kind of static on stage, but the band were pretty cooking. And then you had Bruce Franklin on guitars and Rick Wartell on guitars. I think one of them played a flying V. Really twin guitar attack that was pretty heavy. And then you had Sean McAllister on bass and Jeff Olson on drums. And I think this would be the lineup for the first two albums, and then there were a few changes along the way. The current lineup is Bruce Franklin on guitars, Rick Wartell on guitars, Kyle Thomas on vocals. I think he's about the third vocalist they've had. Mark Lira on drums and Rob Holtz on bass. Still a going concern, but no album since 2013. The most recent being the Distortion Field. I have got it here to show you. There are two that I don't have. One called Run to the Light from 1987, which would be their third album. And Plastic Greenhead, which I did have. I have no idea what happened to my copy. Lost along the way somewhere. That came out in 1995. And then, as I mentioned, there's a DVD live in Stockholm from 2006. Some of the earlier albums have a pretty muddy production, a very sludge-like sound. Later on, when Rick Rubin from Def Jam, his label Def Jam, he got involved, produced a few albums, and there was a marked difference. So let's just jump in and I'll show you what I have. So the first two albums I've got on a 2-on-1 kind of thing here. So there you've got Psalm 9, which was their first album, and one called The Skull. When they first started out, some of the lyrics were, some people called them a Christian doom metal band. There are elements of that in their music, in the lyrics, but I wouldn't say they're a full-on Christian band. It's just some of the lyrics lent more towards that kind of thing. So you've got The Tempter, which is a crushing first track. Like I said, these first albums are just very, very heavy and doomy. Later on, there'd be a bit more variety there to their sound, and I think they were trying to become a little bit more radio-friendly later on, because I don't think much of this was played on the radio back in the day. Assassin, Victim of the Insane, Revelation, Life or Death, this would all be on Psalm 9. Bastards Will Pay, that's a really cool track with some great lyrics. And the twin guitar attack was really quite heavy in the early albums. And Eric Wagner's vocals suited this band to a T. Then you've got The Skull, Pray for the Dead, Fear No Evil, The Wish, Wickedness of Man, Gideon, and the title track, The Skull. These tracks are fairly long, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. There's one for 11 minutes, 6 minutes. So you get your money's worth. The first 8 tracks a year are from the Psalm 9, and then from tracks 9 to 14 is The Skull. Really cool albums. If you can still find these, I think these were on the Metal Blade label, so they should still be around. Then I miss out on Run to the Light, from 1987. That I don't have. But then they joined up with Rick Rubin, and this one came out in the 90s on his Def Jam Records, simply entitled Trouble. The guy's on the front cover there. And this is probably my favorite Trouble album. Amazing production, really clean sound. You can hear both guitars because they have two different styles, these guitarists, and you can hear both of them pretty well. You've got the lyrics inside. I don't think there's much in the way of pictures of the band. No, so it's just the lyrics. And let me just check, make sure what year this came out. 1990. So 3 years on from the previous album. So you'll find there are longish sort of breaks between albums. The really cool tracks on here, At the End of My Days, the first track. Amazing drumming. The drumming on here is really clear and upfront. The Wolf, Psychotic Reaction is probably my favorite track on the album. Brutal riff to that as well. A Sinner's Fame, The Misery Shows, Act 2. Rest in Peace, Black Shapes of Doom, that's also a cool track. Heaven on My Mind, The End, and All Is Forgiven. Excellent album. They would go on to do one more album with Rick Rubin, that being Manic Frustration. And this one came out, I think, a year or two later, 1992. Not bad, not as strong as I think the previous album was. There are some good tracks on here. Come Touch the Sky, Excuse Me, The Sleeper, Fear, Tragedy Man, Memories Garden, Mr. White, Breathe. So yeah, not a bad album. As I said, produced by Rick Rubin. If there's anything, not much in the way of a couple of pictures of the guys. You got really small pictures, so you can't see very much there. Those are the guys. I think at this stage, Eric Wagner, they were starting to have troubles with him. He had some substance abuse issues, and he would be kicked out of the band eventually. He would come back for a short spell, but I think he's now left the band again, and he's now got his own band, also in the Doom style, called The Skull. So he's taken the title of their second track as the name of his band. The next one I have is called Simple Mind Condition. Interesting cover there. So this is a different lineup. This is when he had come back. Eric Wagner had come back. This is in 2007. Not the best album in the world. It's sort of all over the place. The production's a bit messy. The title track's okay. Mind Bender's a good track. But you know, when you're a collector, you want to have the whole collection. So I had to get this one. I actually wouldn't mind getting Trouble stuff on vinyl because I think their music is suited for vinyl, for that analog sound. So hopefully one day I'll do that, replace my CDs with some vinyl. Yeah, they don't give you much in the way of photographs, these guys. There's just really the lyrics inside. Don't say much else on here. Eric Wagner on vocals, Bruce Franklin guitars, Rick Wattel guitars, so it's still the two same guitarists. Chuck Robinson on bass and Jeff Olson on drums. He'd come back. And then the most recent from 2013. This one's called The Distortion Field. Not a really happening cover. So here you've got Kyle Thomas on vocals and backing vocals. He's now replaced Eric Wagner. Bruce Franklin's still there, Rick Wattel, and Mark Lehrer on drums. I think Bruce Franklin also plays bass on this album. Pretty heavy. I think this one's a bit of an improvement actually over the previous one. Once again, just the lyrics. And anything else I can tell you? Not really. Not bad. Not bad. So there we go. Short and sweet. The band Trouble. If you're into the doom stoner side of things, a band worth checking out. Next time I'm going to have a look at a few others. And then I think after that, we're going to move on to a band that I should have really covered already. I know I've had requests to do this band. One of my favorite metal bands. That'll be 2 episodes time. And we're going to have a look at Judas Priest. One of the greats. Have yourselves a great week. Like and subscribe down below. Any comments, please. More than welcome. Take care. See you soon. Cheers.